What if your morning cup of coffee is secretly doing something to your body that no one ever told you about? You wake up, you shuffle to the kitchen, you pour that first hot cup, and before food, before water, before anything else, you take that first sip, and it feels like life coming back into your veins. But is it really helping you, or is there more going on beneath that comforting smell and bold taste? For years, people have argued about drinking coffee on an empty stomach. Some swear it boosts focus and burns fat. Others warn it damages your stomach lining, raises stress, and throws your hormones into chaos. So what is the truth? To understand this, we have to travel back in time, long before modern coffee shops, long before drive-through lattes, to places like Ethiopia and Yemen, where coffee was first discovered. Legend says a goat herder noticed his animals dancing after eating red coffee cherries, and soon people were brewing the beans for energy and alertness. Back then, no one talked about empty stomachs or cortisol levels. They simply knew the drink helped them stay awake during long nights of prayer and trade. As coffee spread through the Middle East and into Europe, it became known as the drink of thinkers, writers, and revolutionaries. People gathered in coffee houses to debate politics, philosophy, and science. Many of them drank it first thing in the morning, often without food, because breakfast as we know it today was not always common. So, historically, drinking coffee alone was normal, but modern life is different. Our diets are different, our stress levels are different, and our understanding of the body is far deeper today. When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, the first thing that happens is stimulation. Caffeine quickly moves into your bloodstream and blocks a chemical in your brain called adenosine, which normally makes you feel sleepy. This is why you feel alert within minutes. But caffeine also triggers your adrenal glands to release cortisol, a hormone often called the stress hormone. Cortisol is not evil. In fact, you need it. It helps you wake up. It regulates blood pressure and supports metabolism, but your body already has a natural cortisol spike in the early morning, especially within the first hour after waking. So when you add caffeine on top of that natural spike, you may be stacking stimulation on stimulation. For some people, this feels powerful, like a rocket launch of productivity. For others, it can feel like anxiety, jitteriness, or a racing heart, and this is where myths start to grow. One common myth says coffee on an empty stomach destroys your stomach lining and causes ulcers. The truth is more nuanced. Coffee does increase stomach acid production, whether you drink it with food or without food, but modern research shows that coffee alone does not directly cause ulcers in healthy individuals. Ulcers are usually linked to specific bacteria or certain medications. However, if you already have acid reflux, gastritis, or a sensitive stomach, drinking strong black coffee before eating may irritate your symptoms and make you uncomfortable. This does not mean coffee is poison. It means your body has limits and personal differences matter. Another myth claims that drinking coffee before breakfast will completely ruin your metabolism. Some social media posts say it spikes blood sugar and leads to weight gain. Science tells a more balanced story. Caffeine can temporarily reduce insulin sensitivity, which means your body might handle sugar slightly less efficiently right after drinking coffee, especially if you pair it with a sugary pastry, but this effect is usually mild in healthy people, and regular coffee drinkers often build tolerance over time. Interestingly, some studies show that coffee consumption is linked with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes over the long term. So again, context matters. What about fat burning? You may have heard that black coffee on an empty stomach turns your body into a fat-burning machine. There is a grain of truth here. Caffeine can increase adrenaline, which signals your body to release stored fat into the bloodstream to be used as energy. This is why many athletes drink coffee before workouts, but fat loss is not magic. It depends on overall diet, activity, and sleep. Coffee alone will not melt away pounds, and if drinking it without food makes you shaky or leads you to overeat later, the effect can backfire psychologically. Coffee is deeply tied to ritual and comfort. The smell, the warmth, the quiet moment before the day begins. When you drink it on an empty stomach, it can feel almost symbolic, like flipping the switch from night to day. This ritual can reduce perceived stress because your brain associates it with routine and control, but for some people, especially those prone to anxiety, caffeine amplifies stress signals. Without the buffering effect of food in the stomach, the caffeine may hit faster and feel stronger, which can create a loop where you mistake stimulation for productivity and over time rely on that intense jolt just to feel normal. Culturally, breakfast habits vary widely. In the United States, many people rush out the door with only coffee in hand, while in other cultures, breakfast may be larger and more balanced. So the impact of coffee alone also depends on what your typical day looks like. If you skip meals often and rely on multiple cups of coffee, you may experience energy crashes, irritability, or digestive discomfort, not because coffee is evil, but because your body is running on fumes. Hydration also plays a role. Coffee is mildly diuretic, which means it can increase urine production slightly. If you wake up already dehydrated and immediately drink coffee without water, you might feel headaches or fatigue that you blame on something else. Simply drinking a glass of water before your coffee can change how you feel. Many doctors suggest eating at least a small snack with protein or healthy fat before or with coffee if you have a sensitive stomach. Something simple like yogurt, nuts, or eggs can slow caffeine absorption and reduce acid irritation, yet millions of people drink coffee first thing and feel perfectly fine. This highlights an important truth: human bodies are diverse. Genetics affect how quickly you metabolize caffeine. Some people break it down rapidly and can drink it late in the day without sleep problems. Others process it slowly and feel wired for hours. This genetic variation also influences how coffee affects anxiety, blood pressure, and digestion. Another surprising fact is that habitual coffee consumption is associated with several health benefits. Research links moderate coffee intake with reduced risk of certain liver diseases, Parkinson's disease, and even some types of cancer. These benefits appear whether coffee is consumed with food or without, but moderation is key for most healthy adults. Up to about 400 milligrams of caffeine per day, roughly 3 to 4 cups of brewed coffee, is considered generally safe. More than that can increase risk of side effects, especially if consumed on an empty stomach where the intensity may feel greater. Let us talk about hormones beyond cortisol. Some claims online say that women should never drink coffee on an empty stomach because it disrupts female hormones. The evidence does not strongly support this blanket statement. Caffeine can slightly influence hormone levels, but effects vary and are usually small in healthy individuals. However, women who are pregnant, trying to conceive, or sensitive to caffeine may need to limit intake overall, whether with food or not. Stress perception also matters. If you believe that coffee on an empty stomach is harming you, your anxiety about it can amplify physical sensations. The mind and body are deeply connected. This does not mean symptoms are imaginary. It means expectation shapes experience. So where does that leave us? The truth is not dramatic. Coffee on an empty stomach is not a guaranteed health disaster, nor is it a miracle health hack. It is a personal experiment influenced by biology, lifestyle, and overall diet. If you drink a cup in the morning, feel energized, focused, and calm, and have no digestive discomfort, you are likely fine. If you feel shaky, nauseated, anxious, or experience burning in your chest, your body may be asking for food first. Instead of following extreme advice online, pay attention to your own signals. Try drinking water before coffee. Try adding a small balanced breakfast. Notice your mood, energy, and digestion over several days. Think about the bigger picture. Are you sleeping enough? Are you managing stress? Are you eating real nourishing meals throughout the day? Coffee often gets blamed for problems that actually stem from chronic sleep deprivation or poor diet. And remember that coffee is more than caffeine. It contains antioxidants and plant compounds that may support health. When consumed responsibly, it is one of the most studied beverages in the world, and overall the research does not paint it as a villain. The drama around empty stomach coffee largely comes from oversimplified headlines and fear-based marketing, products promising to fix problems you may not even have. The human body is resilient. It has handled coffee for centuries across cultures and continents. What matters most is balance, awareness, and moderation. Your morning cup can be a tool, a pleasure, and even a small health boost if used wisely. So the next time you reach for that steaming mug, pause for a second. Notice how you feel before and after. Listen to your body rather than internet noise. Experiment gently instead of fearing extremes. And if this deep dive into the truth changed how you see your daily coffee ritual, go ahead and like this video, share your experience in the comments, and subscribe for more honest health stories that cut through myths and bring you clear, simple science every single week.